ever since the Mega Dimensions DLC came out for Pokemon Legends EA, I've been basically trying to get all of the shiny Pokemon. Basically every single shiny Pokemon that's in the game, every single form, and every different gender difference that's available within the game. Now, if we look at my actual playtime, our total playtime's at 350 hours now. So it's taken a while. It's not been my main game that I've been playing, but it's been like one of my two main games I've been playing basically since Mega Dimension came out. Well, I've been playing the game since it came out, but since Mega Dimension came out, I've been doing the hunting. Now, you'll see some slight gaps in here. That's just because for some Pokemon, and it's a very, very small amount, I already had like the shiny of it. And so I just didn't really bother like hunting for additional shinies that I already had in Pokemon Home. That's just a personal choice. But I did get every Pokemon, and then also every gender difference. So you see we have male Meganium here, and then we have female Meganium. Obviously stuff like Vivillon, there is like an overworld form of Vivillon, which I've not got, just because I know I'll do a Vivillon hunt in the future. But for the most part, we've got like basically all the Pokemon, right, with a few tiny little gaps. I'm gonna go through. I suppose I should just talk a little bit about what my hunting strategy was for the most part. For setting like saves and backup saves, I just teleport here to the middle Vernal Pokemon Center. I think if you want to set this as your reset point, you have to basically heal your Pokemon here. Now that's not meaning you can't restore to backup here, but if you save at Pokemon Center and you heal your Pokemon at Pokemon Center, whenever you do a backup save from then on, that's where you're going to return to. So flying to a Pokemon Center actually sets your backup save, but that will set it to the last place which you healed. So I heal here just because it's more central, but then every time I want to reset, I just close it out. You don't have to heal every time, you just have to heal one time, and then you just fly to wherever to like set a backup point. You want to do X, B, and up, and then you can basically do a backup save. Now, the reason you're doing a backup save is one, you might want to basically re-roll your Hyperspace Wild Zones. That won't actually change the Pokemon that are in it, but it will change where those Pokemon spawn. So especially if you have like Shiny Power 3 on a donut, Sparkling Power 3, you're basically going to want to you're going to want to re-roll that, like if it's not a Sparkling Power donut. Now obviously to make your donuts in Hotel Z. And what I did was I'd basically just make donuts and make donuts. I have a bit of a farming strategy. You'll see that I have like, you'll see I have a lot of berries where I have like hundreds of them, like the Lumberry, the Oranberry, because I just never use these berries. And there's somewhere I think the Koba Berry, I have like 390. Yeah, I have 390 Koba berries. Now, my strategy for making berries and stuff is basically, there's two kinds of berries you're going to want. One is like one that has berry power and potentially big haul power, and that's a sour type berry. The numbers I always went with was 530 in a specific flavoring, just because I think there was talk about 420 a while ago being the point which you would start getting like Sparkling Power 3 and stuff with a sweet donut, but 530 was also talked about, so I just always done 530. Now, for actually making a donut, what I do is I do two really a random one, basically whatever you can get the highest calories on. I know there's berry berries you can, but I also was saving them for making a sour berry. And then I do 4 Haban, and I do 2 Tanga, and then I just do that, and I re-roll that, and I re-roll that. And that's okay. That's shiny Pokemon a lot, so that gives me ground power. And so instead of starting at the very start of the Pokedex, and basically trying to find a grass donut all the time, I'd spend ages spinning a grass donut. I would literally at that point, I would go and find the first ground type Pokemon. I'd find the first ground type Pokemon that I didn't have shiny, and I would go hunting for that. Now, very early on, you can basically just hit any wild zone with any like donut of that type you have. So if you're just starting out hunting, you obviously don't have Onix, Bunnelby, or Diggersby. So you can just come in here, and depending on how small the wild zone is, you can basically just re-roll and re-roll. Basically, you can probably get all of the all the Pokemon in this zone. Because it's 3 stars, you're only going to get, what, 17 minutes, 20 minutes on a donut. So I would just get as many shinies as I could in that time. Now, as that went on, it became much more targeted. So I would start looking for specific Pokemon, and it got to the point where if the Wild Zone wasn't good for getting all the Pokemon in the area, I would basically just hit whatever was closest to the spawn and just fly reset it. So that looks a bit like... Okay, these are sewers, so here we can... Okay, this is quite a good one for resetting. Yeah, because we can get everything in our spawn here. So we can get Diggersby, sorry, Bunnelby, we can get Golett, and we can get Onyx. Now, I'm going for gender differences as well, so I would use the Cerebi, like, boxable forms index to basically see what the boxable forms are. Yeah, so we can hit, like, 3 different species of Pokemon if we just reset this here. I don't even know where our shiny is. And because we have the type, the ground power type 3, we're gonna get one guaranteed ground type shiny. If you see this up in the top right, you see this catch a shiny Pokemon. Yeah, that is it guaranteeing that only shows up when there's a shiny Pokemon. Oh, it's Diggersby. Cool. So we can catch that. From there, oh, I got my hyperspace survey. From there, I would just fly reset. So I don't even check each time. I just keep resetting like this. I keep flying, and then every like if you, up in the top left, you see this, like, you see my calories are counting down. Every, like, quarter of a circle, I would maybe go around and start checking. And I just do that. And then if I catch all of the Pokemon, if I'm done in an area, I catch all the Pokemon I think I need to catch. At that point, I would just do the quests up in the top right here to get your points. You want to be maxing out your hyperspace surveys, and you actually want to be doing those as much as possible, because I caught every single Pokemon in the game, and I still didn't get a Gimmighoul hyperspace special scan survey. So you want to be doing your special scans as much as possible. There's some Pokemon you can only get from a special scan, and that is Frigafrax. Oh, my dog's going crazy. It's Frigafrax. It's what's the other? Rotom and Gimmighoul. But then also you have Shiny Latias, Shiny Latios, Cobalion, Terrakion, Virizion. All them in shiny. But then also in non-shiny you can get Keldeo, Meloetta, and apparently Zeraora. Do I need that? Do I need Zeraora? No, because my Pokedex is complete apparently. I guess you maybe just don't need Zeraora. Maybe that's a special Pokemon. I think that was like a special quest. So that's how I do hunting for shiny Pokemon. Like I said, once you start having like most of the Pokemon, you're gonna have to start like, you won't be able to get all 3 Pokemon in the Wild Zone shiny. You're gonna basically just have to start looking for one species of Pokemon to tick off. And at that point, you're mostly looking for good Wild Zones with good spawns and good reset opportunities close to your spawn. Some areas like don't even have Pokemon near them, and so like if you have to teleport and then run to do a check, unless you have like 70 minutes on your donut, I would reset that and try and just re-roll for another different Wild Zone. Also, you can re-roll your Wild Zone by waiting at a bench at Pokemon Center. And then the other donut type I would make was when I needed to farm more berries, in which case I would do 2 Babari, 4 Colbur, and 2 Cassib, and I would make this. Now, I know you can use all the other berries to make your donuts, and you could probably do it a lot quicker. Okay, so here we had item power treasure. Now for these, the only thing I'm looking for is item power berries. Anytime I get item power berries, I go and use the donut. But if you get big haul power, that's a bonus. But I don't hunt for berries and big haul power together, because the time it would take you to do a bunch of berry donuts, I'm resetting my donut here with a backup save, so I get the ingredients back. And the time it would take you to basically hunt for a big haul and berry power donut, sometimes it could take hours. And I was doing that at first, and it just takes too long. And like I said, if you're smarter than me, you can basically use all your other donut types to create donuts and the combinations you need. But for me, I found the cognitive load of that was massive. It would take me ages to like get the right balance of donuts, and I know that sounds really stupid, but for me it made sense to just come up with a couple of good donut recipes and just fall back on those. When I started getting like over 50 Tangas, I would start like using 6 Tangas and then like 2 Chilan or 2 Babaris, to make an extra like sweet donut. And I would cap that at 50, so I always had enough tangas for. Really, the Haban berry is like the bottleneck for me, but it'll be different for you. Now, we'll try once more, see if we can get a sour donut. Like I said, we just want berry power. I know that's special items. Okay, I'm not gonna keep re-rolling this, but when you have berry power, I look for like medium or large wild zones. Depends how fast you can do them. I got really good at doing the larger wild zones fast, but typically you want probably a medium that's 4 stars or higher. Now, once you start having most of the Pokemon from the special scans, like if you have to do a special scan, right? I'll do one right now and I'll show you what I mean. If you have I didn't do the battle zone special scans, just because they were kind of a waste of time for me. I could have probably done a lot more special scans and got Gimme Go quicker had I done the battle zones, but I was mostly focused on catching. So, let me run a special scan here. Oh, because I re-rolled. Yeah, okay, we're not doing special scan. Because I re-rolled, I couldn't, I couldn't do one now. But, if you get a 5-star one that has, like, fire types, and it has, like, Blaziken in it. Is Blaziken in one? No, 5 stars are... Oh, no, you actually do get 5 stars. 5-star special scans that have, like, Charizard and stuff. And I know it doesn't seem like you do if you look at Cerebi, but I've had 5 stars that have, like, Blaziken and water types and stuff. And maybe it's just, like, only... Oh, no, because it can be in higher. Yeah, yeah. So you can get ones which have, like, Blaziken in or Swampert. And those ones I would just use to get the berries. A 5-power special scan area, Hyperspace Wild Zone, with berry power and big call power if you can get it, gives you an insane amount of berries. It gives you enough berries to like do like 3 or 4 different shiny Hyperspace Wild Zones. So that's the sort of semantics of how I hunted all these Pokemon. It took a while. It took a long time. A lot of stuff was pretty quick. I mean, obviously, I have this Alpha Dragonite, which is pretty cool. I actually got this before even before the DLC even came out. This was I found it by hunting on a roof in regular Lumiose. And so that's been my main guy because he's so good for like fighting Pokemon in the wild zones. He has Outrage, Extreme Speed, Fire Blast, Earthquake. Extreme Speed's so good for basically getting the Pokeballs. You hit the Pokeballs to get all the loot out. Extreme Speed's so good for that. And then if you look at Chandelure, Heat Wave is so good because like if there's a Pokeball behind a fence, for example. I don't have a good example. Oh, here we go. There's not going to be a Pokeball behind here, but if you're in a Hyperspace Wild Zone and there's a Pokeball back here, you can't really get it because you can't aim at it. You'd have to either like Dragonite would be blocked, but you can look down here. But you can basically catch and then you can lock in on it with ZL, and then you could basically use this Pokemon Chandelure, use Heat Wave, and Heat Wave appears like where you do it. So if I could probably... That's a shiny Baneri. Here's an example. So I can hit the Baneri over there because Heat Wave will go over where I say it goes. So typically you can hit stuff you wouldn't be able to hit, and that's another quick strategy as well. Instead of having to loop around, climb up on a roof, jump down, and catch that, or like basically break open the wild zone. Obviously, catch it's not a good example because you couldn't catch it. But if you wanted to basically destroy a loot box, a loot Pokeball, you could do it without wasting a lot of time on your berry. So that's a big strategy. What were the difficult ones? So obviously doing all the gender differences is tough. I do love I love Starmie. I actually got a shiny Gyarados the other day in Pokemon Champions, which was a bit bittersweet because everyone has like 10 shiny Gyaradoses from like Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Now some are quite difficult. So I thought I had orange Floette and I was missing yellow, but it turns out I had yellow and I was missing orange because here, out in this menu, this red looks pink, this yellow looks orange, and this orange looks red. When you go in, obviously that's yellow and that's orange, but out here it's difficult. So stuff like that, you can basically go in here once your Pokedex and you can see your forms, and it'll only show you the shiny form stuff you have. So that's how you can basically easily identify Floettes, and Flabébés and Florguses. Now these were a bit of a pain in the ass, just because you have to get so many of them, and there's a few different Pokemon like that which are just a pain in the fucking ass. Pichu was rough. I was trying to reset for Pichu for ages, and I had to keep re-rolling the spawn location because there wasn't a Pichu spawning near me. What is here? What is 52 and onwards? Oh, those are all Pikachus and Raichus. The reason I don't have those is because I just have them all in shiny already. I have them all in Pokemon Home, so I don't want to keep hunting. To be honest, near the end, I was pushing really hard on this. I was going really casual for a long time, but then once it got to the point at which I was like in the last like 50 or so Pokemon, I really was pushing hard. Like I said, we have Alakazams with all the gender differences. I like when you see a full box. It's cool. I'm just going through the honorable mentions here, which was cool. I love Aegislash. The fucking golden poo. That's so funny. EVs obviously were a bit of a bomb. EVs were rough, just because there's so many. It's the same with Gible. Every form of Gible has a gender difference. That was tough because I ended up getting like, I think I got an extra 5. I basically had 3 male Gibles before I even got 1 female. And then I had to catch another 5 male Gibles before I would find the females for all the different gender differences. Slowpokes, obviously there are Galarian Slowpokes. I put them at the end because I didn't want to move all the boxes. These are like the Kanto starters. And again, I still already have them all, so it just wasn't really worth it for me to just keep trying to find them. I already have them. We have all the Furfrou forms. These were a pain as well. I had to do like 3 different sets of Furfrou Hyperspace Wild Zones to get all the Furfrous. Sometimes, like the first time I got 6, and then the second one I got 3, and the last one I got 1. So sometimes you get really lucky. You can get a lot of Pokemon depending on the spawn location, depending on how long it's on your donut, and just depending how lucky you are, really. Obviously, I have the Shiny Charm as well for all this. You have to have the Shiny Charm. You don't have to, but obviously speeds it all up. If you're doing something like this, I would recommend the Shiny Charm. That's Gumi in that blank spot. Again, I have that from Scarlet, Wild Zones, not Wild Zones, Outbreaks. I love Snorunt. We have Scythers and Scizors. This is a Scizor I actually used for the whole of basically most of my hunting. I used Scizor. I love that. I love the white on Phantom and Trevenant. Stuff like Aerodactyl. You have to get Aerodactyl in a 5-star Wild Zone. I forgot about that one. But Tyron and Amura you can get in a regular one. Okay, these ones are the worst. Or one of the worst. Pumpkaboo. Every size of Pumpkaboo. There's a video on my channel for hunting for Pumpkaboo. Now be careful if you're gonna hunt Pumpkaboo. Only medium Pumpkaboos will show up in Hyperspace Wild Zones. So no matter how much you reset, no matter how much you reroll, only the mediums show up. So you just don't want to hunt in Hyperspace Wild Zone because you'll have 100 mediums by the time you get your extra large and your jumbos, or your large and your jumbos. It took me, I don't know. You'd have to look at my Pumpkaboo video to tell you how long it took me. I think it was about 2 weeks of re-rolling, like, of that, what's the Pumpkaboo Wild Zone called? At night and at day. 17? No. 6. 15. Number 15. I think if I even go here, like, half of the Pokemon are still shiny. Let's have a look. But yeah, this is awful. I really, like, hated this area by the end. Maybe I did catch them all. I think if I went to like nighttime, there's still some shinies there, but it's not important. Just it was awful. I'm glad I got them now, and there's probably not an easier way to do it, even in other games, but it just was not a good time. Some stuff I ended up with shinies of either. Yeah, some stuff I ended up with shinies of anyway, even though I already had them. So things like Larvitar I kind of already had, but It was fine. There's some Pokemon here else I want to switch over to Pokemon Champions now. Annihilate and stuff, just shinies of Pokemon, which I'm going to use in Pokemon Champions. Rotoms were alright. I actually ended, because it was so hard for me to find Gimmighoul, I actually ended up with like 5 different Rotom scans, and I already got all the Rotoms in my first Rotom scan, so Rotom was just another one which I used to farm berries by the end. Frigibax, and Baxcalibur, and Arctibax. I got on, these were alright, those weren't too bad. Tatsugiri, I got so lucky with Tatsugiri. The first 3 shinies I got, I found a spot that had every spawn of Tatsugiri. The first 3 shinies that I got were all the correct ones. It was crazy. I don't know how. I also got an Alpha Tatsugiri, that's funny. Gimmighoul, horrible. I did already have Shiny Gimmighoul and Gholdengo from when they did that event in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but I did it via an online raid, which I know, like, if you do an online raid for those special events, like, they're basically always, like, they're not, like, hacked, but they're, like, people will just use, like, software to, like, hunt for the perfect raid, so it's kind of, like, manipulated, I guess, so I didn't really like having those. I've kind of, like, they were legitimate, but they felt a bit to me like I didn't really do the work for them, and so I'm glad to finally have a Gimmighoul and a Gholdengo. I do like the white Quillfish, and the Clover Quill. Excuse me. I just realized I forgot to evolve my Milotic, and my Feebas into Milotic. So I'm going to have to do that today. I have to put the scales on. Okay. Is it Milotic that has the gender difference, or is it Feebas? It's Milotic. Okay, so I need to quickly put prism scales on these. I'm glad I did this video, because otherwise I would have transferred all these to get the shiny Volcarona in Pokemon Home, and not actually evolve these guys. So I'm actually glad that I did the video, because otherwise I would have just thrown them in Home. I do already have a shiny Milotic, but because I'm using, I don't want to take out of this game, because if I come back to this game at any point, which I might have to come back to it for like leveling some Pokemon up or getting some Pokemon that are non-shiny for my 11 decks, I might have to come back. So I want to keep my kind of core team. I want to keep my core team in place if I ever have to return to the game. I love Coffergigas and shiny. I just love so many of these shiny Pokemon. They're so cool. Mimikyu, of course. I tried using Mimikyu. It wasn't that good. I know people like it. Staraptor. That's going crazy in Pokemon Champions at the moment. Squawk abilities, these were tough as well. These were a pain because you can find a zone that has 3 Squawk ability colors, but not the last one. And finding this white one was so difficult. But yeah, that's like the gist of it, right? And we have all our shiny like Cobalions, Terrakion, Virizion. I tried to do some like different balls for these. I used my Master Ball and Virizion. Latias and a Love Ball, Latios and a Peace Ball, and then Slowpoke. Again, I have Slowbro. And then these aren't shiny. These are just, I need these in Home, so I'm just going to grab them and stick them in there. Yeah, so other than that, that's roughly it. I'm going to obviously evolve my Milotic and then transfer all this to Home to try and get the shiny Volcarona. But thanks for watching. I hope that some of my pain was interesting to some people. Yeah, I liked it. I like doing it. I don't know what I'm going to do next. I might move to Legend Arceus. Might take a little bit of a Pokemon break. I don't know. I might play Fire Red and Leaf Green on the Switch. I might work on my shiny hunting, like Python bot a bit. Using my tool that I wrote. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on in Pokemon right now. Pokemon Champions might play more, try and get back into Master Ball tier. I skipped the second season, so it's now the 3rd season, but the second regulation, second battle pass or season pass, I mean. So I might give that a go. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll try and provide answers for them. And other than that, thanks very much.